Our opening song this evening will be number 160. Number 160. Does anyone have any announcements we need to make before we begin? If not, Don, if you don't care, we'll ask you to lead us in the opening prayer this evening. Down at the cross where my Savior died, down where for cleansing from sin I cried, there to my heart was the blood applied. Glory to His name, glory to His name, glory to His name. There to my heart was the blood applied. Glory to His name. I am so wondrously saved from sin. Jesus so sweetly abides within. There at the cross where He took me in. Glory to His name. Glory to His name. Glory to His name. There to my heart was the blood applied. Glory to His name. Oh, precious fountain that saves from sin, I am so glad I have entered in. There Jesus saves me and keeps me clean. Glory to His name. Glory to His name. Glory to His name. There to my heart was the blood applied. Glory to His name. Before prayer this evening, we sing number 630. Number 630. Are you weary? Are you heavy-hearted? Tell it to Jesus. Tell it to Jesus. Are you grieving over joys departed? Tell it to Jesus alone. Tell it to Jesus. Tell it to Jesus. He is a friend that's well known. You have no other such a friend or brother. Tell it to Jesus alone. Do the tears flow down your cheeks unbidden? Tell it to Jesus. Tell it to Jesus. Have you sins that to and eyes are hidden? Tell it to Jesus alone. Tell it to Jesus. Tell it to Jesus. He is a friend that's well known. You have no other such a friend or brother. Tell it to Jesus alone. Do you fear the gathering clouds of sorrow? Tell it to Jesus.
here tonight in the middle of this very busy week as it is this time of year, to pause and to catch our breaths, to open our hearts and our spirits that we might be receptive to your presence in our lives. We look forward and we can add to the knowledge of your holy word so that we might increase in our wisdom and our appreciation for that divine word, which has lasted so very, very long and will continue to last until your Son comes back. We pray for any of those of our congregation who are sick at this time, dealing with other physical ailments, perhaps even facing tests, doctor's appointments. We pray your continued blessings upon them. We pray that all things will go well and that all of us together can support each other as part of this congregation, this community of believers who are here for one reason only, well, two reasons. To love you with all of our heart and soul and mind, and to love our neighbors as ourselves. Father, be with the teachers tonight, be with us as we go to our classes. Help us to open our hearts and minds to learn the things that we need to do and to be about so that we really may be ready when your Son returns. Help us, forgive us of our sins. We pray for home and heaven. In Jesus' name, amen.
Number 761, 4 classes. Number 761. Sweet are the promises, kind is the word, dearer far than any message man ever heard. Pure was the mind of Christ, sinless I see. He the great example is and pattern for me. Where he leads on how he leads on where he leads on follow. Where he leads on follow. Leads on where he leads on follow. Follow Jesus every day. Sweet is the tender love Jesus has shown, sweeter far than any love that mortals have known. Kind to the erring one, faithful is he. He the great example is and pattern for me. Where he leads on, he leads on where. To his loving words, come unto me. Weary, heavy laden, there is sweet rest for thee. Trust in his promises, faithful and sure. Lean upon the Savior, and thy soul is secure. Where he leads upon, he leads up where. Jesus every day.
There we go. Studying the book of Matthew, continuing on in Matthew chapter 8. Matthew has recorded the Sermon on the Mount. Now he is recording the miracles that demonstrate that Jesus had the authority to teach the way that he did, to say the things that he said in the Sermon on the Mount, and all the other things that he would say throughout his ministry. We've looked at about 3 or 4 different ones of the miracles. Among them, the cleansing of a leper, the cleansing of people with fevers that would lead unto death at that particular point in time, the stealing of the waters. And it actually says, that he healed all kinds of diseases, anybody that came to him. Within that, we saw the compassion of Jesus. We see the fact that he heals immediately. We see the fact that it's a complete healing. And so there's all different things about Jesus and about his authority and his power that you can see within the miracles. Now tonight we're going to take a look at how Jesus can change your life from something that is totally out of control, totally causing you to be wasted, if you will. Not that you are wasted, but just the life that you're living is something that's just totally out of your control, and you wouldn't do it if you wasn't hooked on something or have something involved within you. And he can change that, though. He can change that. And what we're going to look at is the casting out of some demons. Now, this seems to be something that was fairly prevalent at the time that Jesus was here on this earth. We'll talk about that a little bit more whenever I ask the question of can demons possess people today, or do they possess people today? We'll ask that toward the end of the class. But apparently, it was pretty prevalent then, because Jesus cast out several demons from several different people. The apostles did the same during their ministry. So, it was something that was fairly prevalent at that time. But Jesus had the power to do that. And let's take a look at least this example, the specific example that Matthew has given to us. David, we'll start with you if you want to read Matthew chapter 8, 28 through 34. Either you or Mary, either one, whichever one you'd rather do.
When he arrived at the other side of the region of Gabenius, 2 demon-possessed men come from the tent and met him. They were so loud that no one could pass that way. "What do you want with us, Son of God?" they shouted. "Have you come here to torture us before the appointed time?" Some distance from them, a large herd of pigs was feeding. The demons begged Jesus, "If you drive us out, send us into the herd of pigs." He said unto them, "Go." So they came out and went into the pig, and the whole herd rushed down the sea bank into the lake and died in the water. Those tending the pigs ran off, went into the town and reported all this, including what had happened to the demon-possessed men. And the whole town went out to meet Jesus. And when they saw him, they pleaded with him to leave their region.
Okay, very good. Let's go ahead and read the different accounts, the ones found in Mark and one found in Luke as well. And Randy, if you will, Mark 5, 1 through 20. And then Casey, if you will, Luke 8, 26 through 39.
They went across the lake to the region of the Gerasenes. When Jesus got out of the boat, a man with an evil spirit came from the tomb to meet him. This man lived in the tombs, and no one could bind him anymore, not even with a chain. For he had often been chained hand and foot, but he tore the chains apart and broke the irons on his feet. No one was strong enough to subdue him. Night and day among the tombs and in the hills he would cry out and cut himself to stone. When he saw Jesus from a distance, he ran and fell on his knees in front of him. He shouted at the top of his voice, "What do you want with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? Swear to God that you won't torture me." For Jesus had said to him, "Come out of this man, you evil spirit." Then Jesus asked him, "What is your name?"
My name is Legion, he replied, for we are many. And he begged Jesus again and again not to send them out of the area. A large herd of pigs was feeding on the nearby hillside. The demons begged Jesus, send us among the pigs, allow us to go into them. He gave them permission, and the evil spirits came out and went into the pigs. The herd, about 2,000 in number, rushed down the steep bank into the lake and were drowned. Those tending the pigs ran off and reported this in the town and countryside, and the people went out to see what had happened. When they came to Jesus, they saw the man who had been possessed by the legion of demons, sitting there dressed in his right mind, and they were afraid. Those who had seen it told the people what had happened to the demon-possessed man, and told about the pigs as well. Then the people began to plead with Jesus to leave their region. As Jesus was getting into the boat, the man who had been demon-possessed begged to go with him. Jesus did not let him, but said, go home to your family and tell them how much the Lord has done for you and how he has had mercy on you. So the man went away and began to tell in the Decapolis how much Jesus had done for him. All the people were amazed.
Okay, I'll tell you what, Casey, I'm going to have plenty of time to discuss this, so let's not do the reading in Luke. I'll give you another passage or two after a while, but let's not do the reading in Luke so that we'll have plenty of time to actually discuss what's going on here. Mark and Luke are pretty similar in what they have to say. But you'll notice here that Matthew says that there were two men, and Mark and Luke just mentioned one man. Explain why this is not a contradiction. You'll find people, hey, there's a contradiction in the Bible. Well, why is it not a contradiction?
He's just talking about one man. The man that was doing the actual talking, that's what he treated as one man.
Okay, all right. The one man was the main, the theme of it or whatever, and how Jesus dealt with him and the spirits that were in him, and so they kind of keyed in on that, whereas the other man was there. Perhaps, he wasn't as possessed or whatever, and, they wanted to show exactly how demons could take you to beyond what you would normally do. And so they focused in on that one man. Anyone else?
Well, with three different writers, there's going to be a few differences in them. With three different writers, there's going to be a few differences in the way they tell it.
Okay.
No two people are going to tell it exactly the same.
Okay. By there being three different writers, each one will have a different aspect of how they look at things. We can understand that within our own situation. You can have something happen out here, and a doctor will look at it different than a lawyer will look at it, different than maybe a police officer will look at it. So they'll all tell it a little different, and so that's one thing. Anyone else? Okay. Matthew says that the men were so fierce that no one could pass that way. Now, Mark and Luke give more detail as to what that meant. Describe the condition of these men, especially the one man.
Strong.
Very strong. Superhuman strength, it seemed like. Could break chains, could break the shackles into pieces, it said. Anyone else? We all have our, around here, I remember them, they could pick an engine up out of the truck and all that kind of good stuff. Well, this was that strong and stronger. I remember the one that could break his string around his neck. Well, not a chain. Okay. So we're superhuman strength at this point. Anyone else?
Well, the verse that got me in Mark's account was about. It seems like they stayed among the tombs.
Okay.
I mean, they had no real home.
Okay.
I'm just thinking. Jesus
Okay.
is the one who offers them healing compassion, and then it says they cried out night and day,
Mm-hmm.
and one of them cut himself with stones.
Okay.
So they were miserable. I mean, they were
Okay.
just in agony. I don't know, Craig. Not a good comparison, but my stereotypical view of someone who's insane or out of their mind.
Okay.
Or on drugs or something. I mean, this
Okay.
is-
Big times affected,
Yeah,
on drugs
wow,
and things. Yeah.
yes.
Okay. One of the gospel writers said that he normally lived in the city, but he lived in the tombs.
Mm-hmm.
Most anybody will go anywhere But you'll see very few trying to live in a cemetery. You know, we don't want that. We don't want, but they were there. They were in the cemetery, if you will. Anyone else?
Naked.
Okay, naked. Yeah, they were naked. We're going to talk about that in just a little bit, maybe make something about it. But I was just thinking about it, how that. Well, we'll talk about it in just a moment. But they were naked. They couldn't, wouldn't, whatever, keep clothes on. Anyone? Constantly trying to hurt other people. You know, they were people couldn't pass by there, but just out of control, out of their control, out of the control of anybody else, and just miserable. All right. Now, relying heavily on Mark's and Luke's accounts, the demons recognized Jesus' position and power. What do the following statements tell us about Jesus and the demons? Start with, "What have you to do with us, O Son of God? Have you come here to torment us before the time? And then I adjure you by God, do not torment me. I beg you, do not torment me." So what does this tell us about the demons and about Jesus and I guess their relationship or whatever?
Well, they knew who Jesus was. They knew who Jesus was.
They knew who Jesus was. James could tell us that they believed in God and trembled. You know, so they know who Jesus is. They know who God is. In one account, Acts chapter 19, the sons of Sceva tried to cast out demons. And there were 7 of them. And whenever they said, "I adjure you by the Jesus that Paul preaches, come out of the man," the demon said, "I know Jesus, and I've heard of Paul, but I don't know who you are." And, they didn't come out because they were just, they weren't faithful disciples and doing it for the right reasons and so forth. But, even that demon, "I know Jesus, and I've heard of Paul." All right, someone else.
I've got to say something here with what you
Sure.
just said. So you said whoever this person was that tried to cast them out didn't do it for the right reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Are you saying that a person that's doing it for the right reasons then can do that?
The people at that time who were doing it in the name of Jesus, truly doing it in the name of Jesus, by Jesus' authority, could do that, yes. The sons of Sceva, they were pictured as being scoundrels. And I'm pretty sure on that. Somebody look that up for me, if you will, in Acts 19. They were doing it more for money, is what they were trying to do it for, is the way I take that. And they couldn't, I don't know whether that answers your question or not. But now, you may be asking about it even today.
We can wait till later.
Okay, we'll get there. All right. Anyone else on it as far as what these sayings, these pleas that the demons made showed?
To me, it seems like they know that Jesus is the judge.
Okay.
Okay? And it's not quite, they know what their end is.
Okay.
Okay, and they're just,
It's not quite time, is
it's
it?
not quite time yet, but
Yeah.
it's just.
Or at least they're hoping it's not time.
Yeah, but they know what the end of this is gonna be.
Okay.
And that he alone has that authority
Okay.
to cast them, into the lake of fire.
One phrase that I found interesting was there in Mark, "I adjure you by God, do not torment me." They didn't say, "I adjure you by Satan, my master." I adjure you by God. They knew Satan had nothing. Couldn't do anything. So now they're appealing to God in some way, hoping that Jesus will halfway listen to them. And, Jesus does cast them out. We'll talk a little bit more in some of that. For he was saying to him, "Come out of the man, you unclean spirit," for he had commanded the unclean spirit to come out of the man. What does that tell us about Jesus and or the demons?
They listened when Jesus commanded them.
Okay, yeah. Jesus had the authority to command. He didn't have to say, I command you by such and such to do this. All he had to say was come out. You know, now Paul and all of them, they would have said by Jesus, in Jesus' name, through Jesus' authority, I'm telling you to come out. All Jesus had to say was come out. Okay? So they're once again demonstrating the authority that Jesus had to teach the lessons that he taught and the things that he taught.
Don't you think that, and I'm not sure what the sequence of events is here, but they had accused Jesus of casting out demons
Okay.
by the power
Okay.
of Beelzebub.
Okay?
And that's where we get, okay, if that's true, then why am I working against myself here?
Okay.
So I think it's interesting, as you said, that they don't appeal, to Satan, but I just thought that proves again that Jesus, his identity.
Okay. Yeah.
He's not Beelzebub.
Yeah. And he's not doing it by Beelzebub, Satan.
He's
Of
not.
course, that was the Pharisees, scribes, and the
Yeah.
Pharisees. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that's the passage where Jesus asked, well, who do your sons cast them out in? Whose name then does it? But he would also say that, a kingdom divided against itself cannot stand. And so, all right, anyone? Jesus then asked him, what is your name? He said, Legion, for many demons had entered into him. And Jesus asked him, what is your name? He replied, my name is Legion, for me we are many. What do we learn from that, maybe about demon possession and or about Jesus, the relationship and so forth? I think what we mainly learn about that one is, whether it's one or many, Jesus has the authority. He's not just a one-on-one person. He's not one of those, well, you take your time, I'll get to you in a minute or anything like that. It's one against all. And when he conquered all. He did not conquer a few and then will conquer some later on. But he conquered all. Anyone? It is, I suppose, a lesson in and of itself in that there was the possibility that many or a bunch or several could possess one person. Jesus himself taught that whenever he taught about how that you could cast a demon out of somebody and they just kind of cleaned up their life, but didn't put anything else in there, any goodness or anything in there. And then the demon came back and he said, well, this looks like a nice place. So he went and got more and brought them to be with him. And the worst end of the person was, or the latter end of the person was worse than the beginning. So, Jesus himself taught that was a possibility. Anyone? Did anybody look up the sons of Sceva? Did you?
They were called vagabond Jews.
Okay. Vagabond Jews. Okay. All right. Now, was that King James or was that?
Yes.
Okay, King James. All right. Don't know exactly maybe what that means, but I've always gotten the idea that they were riffraff, I guess, more than anything. They were just in it for their own gain. And he begged them earnestly not to send them out of the country. This is the man using his voice by the power of Legion, begged Jesus earnestly not to send them out of the country. They begged him not to command them to depart into the abyss. Now, ultimately, the demons will be thrown into the abyss. Let's take a look at some passages here and read them. Casey, if you will, Matthew 25:41. Steve, if you will, Revelation 9:2. Debbie, if you will, Revelation 19:20. And then Becky, if you will, Revelation 22 through 3, and William, if you will, 20, 14 through 15 in Revelation there. So let's start off with Matthew 25, 41.
Then he will say to those on his left, Depart from me, you cursed,
Oh, yeah.
to the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels.
Okay. This is at the end of the scene of the great white, well, not the great white throne judgment that a lot of people refer to, but the judgment that Jesus told about, and how that the people were divided up into sheep and goats and so forth. But he would say there that the people, the souls of man, will be cast into that place which is prepared for the devil and his angels. We'll have some today, and yes, even some within the church, that will kind of say, well, I don't know that there's an eternal condemnation. I think, that's something we don't need to preach. And yet here, if there's an eternal condemnation for the devil and his angels, the souls of men are going to go into that. So there has to be an eternal condemnation for the souls of men as well. But as we're dealing with the demons at this time, that was just kind of a side note. You can think on that one. As we're dealing with the demons at this time, you'll notice there that there is a place prepared for the devil and his angels. Okay, Steve, please.
Revelation 9:2. He opened the bottomless pit, and smoke went up out of the pit, like the smoke of a great furnace. The sun and the air were darkened by the smoke of the pit.
Okay, let's go ahead and do 19:20.
And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him, with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast, and them that worshipped his image. These both were cast alive into a lake of fire burning with brimstone.
Okay, and do 22 and 3, and then 20, 14, and 15.
And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years, and cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more, till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. And after that he must be loosed a little season.
Okay, William, please. 14 and 15.
14, and death and Hades thrown to the lake of fire, this is the second death, the lake of fire. And if anyone's name is not found written in the book of life, you are thrown into the lake of fire.
Okay. So with these passages, Jesus himself says there is a place prepared for the devil and his angels. The souls of those who are the goats will go into that place. The Revelation, in Revelation, John describes it. Now we can, he described it in symbolic language. Okay, maybe that's good, that's fine. But the idea is still there. There is a place where God will send evil eternally. And it is not a place that is pleasant or a place that is just kind of there, but it is a place where there is torment involved in it. And these demons didn't want to go there yet. They said, please, don't send us into the abyss. Anyone? Okay. And the demons begged him, saying, if you cast us out, send us away into the herd of pigs. And they begged him, saying, send us to the pigs, let us enter into them. So he gave them permission. Now, what does this tell us a little bit about the demons themselves, or Jesus, or the relationship that was there?
Oh, I can't imagine it being pleasant being inside a dead pig.
Okay.
Drowning, I don't know where they're gonna go somewhere from there.
Well, the pigs were considered unclean animals.
Okay. Pigs were considered unclean animals. Were they going to go someplace from there? We're not told. I'm not even going to. It's a good question. It's a question that comes up, but I'm not going to try to answer it because I don't know the answer, as to what happened to them from there. What I see within it, though, is that they knew once again that Jesus had the power to send them out and to make them go or let them go or cause them to go wherever he wanted them to go. And I think with this too, you see a little bit of the love and the mercy of God, in that the demons, even though they don't serve him, they don't hold any fondness for them, they still relied on the mercy of God. They knew he was a merciful God, and that Jesus was his servant, Jesus' son, he had the authority. So even the demons know how merciful God is, and they were hoping to rely on that. So they begged him. They didn't demand, they didn't do anything, they begged him, and he gave them permission. So they came out, went into the pigs. Behold, the whole herd rushed down the steep bank into the sea and drowned in the waters. The unclean spirits came out and entered the pigs. The herd, numbering about 2,000, rushed down the steep banks into the sea and drowned in the sea. What do we see from that? I see from that demonic power, satanic power, the evilness of Satan is destructive to everything coming and going. It's destructive to man. It's destructive to the earth. It's just a destructive form of power that exists in this world. And you got 2,000 pigs. Those are some pretty powerful demons. It said there were legion. There's a bunch of them. But caused the whole herd to go down into the sea. Anyone? Okay. Here's the questions that I have asked, and I say they're often asked from time to time. Do demons possess people today? Yes or no, and why?
No.
Okay, we've got shaking no. Let's talk a little bit.
Sorry. Remember I said in the Old Testament that in that day come a fountain that shall be opened for the house of David and for the inhabitants of Jerusalem, which was the fountain was Jesus.
Okay.
So when he shed his blood,
Okay.
it lost my place.
That's fine. Okay.
She come in the day that the Lord imposed this, that I will cut off names and idols from the land, and they will be remembered no longer.
Okay. Okay. That was Zechariah chapter 13, verses 1 through 2. And I had never read this passage until today. I read it on the GBN TV, whatever it is, site. But there's a good article in there on do demons possess people today. And the point being that Zechariah in this indicated that when Jesus died, and of course whenever the miraculous gifts and so forth ceased, then both prophets were inspired individuals. When the miraculous gifts ceased, they ceased. And he said they would remove the unclean spirits as well. And so that seemed to have ceased as well. Anyone want to add anything to that? I'll talk just a little bit more if we don't, but I'd like for you to add if you'd like.
I still think it's possible.
Okay. What's that now?
I still think it's possible.
Okay, you still think it's possible?
Well, you gotta look at Saddam Hussein, he was a very evil man.
Okay.
Adolf Hitler, which was one of the worst in the world.
Okay,
He had to be demon possessed.
Okay.
Just to do what he done to all his people.
okay.
Just common sense.
Okay, so you are of the opinion that the demons can possess a person to the point that they will do evil beyond most men, in the things that they do. There are some, and I don't know whether to say some or many or the majority or anything, of Christianity that do hold, that they are, it is possible. Now, I will say this, the ones that I read, which normally don't give any passages for it. They just simply say, yeah, it's possible. And what you got to do, though, this one in particular that I read, you got to be careful, because it could be that what's causing that person to do all this stuff is a mental illness or schizophrenia or some of that type of thing. So, you might need to diagnose, and if it comes down to the last, then that's, it's a demon possession, and then you need to try to get somebody who is very mature as a Christian to cast them out or whatnot. And but no, certain passages or anything. Anyone else?
Well, Satan does go about as a roaring lion, seeking those whom he can devour.
Okay.
And that is presented not in a, past.
Okay.
Satan used to go about
Okay.
seeking those. He still does.
Okay.
And so, evil looks for a home.
Okay.
It's like the old song of the boll weevil, looking for a home.
Now you come up with the wrong one on me there, because I don't know.
Cotton.
Cotton.
That's what
Yeah.
kills cotton.
Boll weevil. Yeah.
Look, and there's an old song about what's the boll weevil doing? He's looking for a home.
Okay. All right.
And you mentioned it, I think, earlier, is that, if you think you got your life cleaned up and you don't fill it with good stuff,
Okay.
then you're vulnerable. And I think the whole notion about mental illness is a real thing. I've studied a lot about it. I don't know all the answers, but I know that certain people, when they are mentally ill, there's a lot of religiosity is symptomatic with that. And,
Okay.
I've had a few people nowadays, back in the old days, who thought they were spiritual beings, and I don't know whether they ever went to church. There's just something about that. And I think that goes back to, we are God's creation,
Okay.
whether we always acknowledge it or not, we are, and that spark, that soul is there.
Okay.
And Satan's doing everything he can to take control of it.
Okay. Well, now that's, you're talking about Satan's taking control and everything. I can understand that. I can see that. I can see that if you don't replace the sin in your life with something else, Satan will come back and make it that much worse. But the idea of, does an actual demon take over a person's body to the point that they cause them to be blind or deaf, to the point that they cause them to fall into the fire on a regular basis, to the point that they cause them to have superhuman strength and just run around naked and that type of thing? Will evil do that? Yeah, not the superhuman strength. It will cause people to just run around naked or whatever. But
Well, people do crazy things.
yeah.
And, this doesn't have anything to do with it, but adrenaline, I can remember trying to tackle a kid that was about 5'3", and it took about 5 of us to hold him down.
Okay.
People want to project demonology on that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to do that, because mental illness is a real thing.
Yep.
And people will do scary things when they hear voices and telling them to do things, and
Okay,
man,
okay,
it's rough.
very good. Avery,
I think it's represented I am now.
okay,
It's saying, you know, that's the evil spirit. You know.
okay. So that type of the thing is the evil
It's
spirit.
sin.
Okay.
How can it not, you know, if you, I mean, people lose their mind and enter into some kind of sin for a season, but
Okay.
then
Okay,
they're able to overcome that.
okay,
So we can look at that any way we want to, but as Don just said, Satan's out there.
sure,
You know,
yeah,
and we can say it's only deceiving us,
okay,
but someone will know that sin is a part of us.
okay,
So that sin is an evil spirit,
okay,
if you would.
okay.
You know, so-
It's a representation of it, but, well, my thoughts on it are, you know, no, evil spirits can't really possess people today. Can Satan influence people to the point that it almost appears that way? Yeah. I mean, it can be done. But the main reasons is, you know, we teach plainly that the miraculous gifts have ceased. That was one of the miraculous gifts that Jesus gave to his apostles and those that were able to do that. Whether it was Philip, you know, they had laid their hands on Philip and he was able to do that when he went down in Samaria, or whoever it may have been. But when those ceased, then either we've got people with possessed and nobody able to cast them out, or, you know, we've got the ability to still cast them out some way or the other. And we need to start looking for that ability some way or the other. But I remember Don Waddell, he made a comment about this many, many years ago, that it appeared that demon possession was just something that kind of hit when Jesus came to show his authority over all these types of things, even the worst that it could get. And then it went away whenever he died. And I've always, you know, thought that was a pretty good one. Anyone? I appreciate what you shared because, you know, it does give us different perspective of it, and that's what I was hoping to find. Now, I did want to ask this question, and Avery alluded to it before. When the people came out to see Jesus, what was the condition of the once demon-possessed man?
He was in his right mind.
Clothed, sitting in the right mind, right there at the feet of Jesus, just like he was supposed to be. And it was and that happened. That shows us, and I asked the question, what does this fact that both Mark and Luke tell us the man was sitting clothed and in his right mind tell us about clothing? Well, that's a big, I know that's one of my hobby horses or whatever, but when Peter saw that it was Jesus after Jesus was resurrected, and Peter was in his fisher's clothing, or King James says naked or whatever, but when he saw it was Jesus, he put his garments on and jumped in the ocean. He would have been able to swim a whole lot easier if he'd just jumped in the ocean, but he did not want to meet Jesus in that fashion. This man, he met Jesus, he's in his right mind. What does your right mind tell you? Clothe yourself. And so that's, to me, is a good comment about the fact that to go naked, to strip down, to start displaying your body is not a righteous thing, but it is it's going back to the Garden of Eden. And the first thing they noticed was that they were naked whenever they ate the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And we should see that as well.
But what did God do for them?
I'm sorry?
What did God do for them? I know they had tried to disguise, cover themselves with
Yeah.
leaves, but what did he do?
Yeah, he clothed them.
He clothed them.
And I don't think he clothed them with the bikini and all that.
I'm not saying
He clothed them.
Sitting here thinking, this man would have torn all these clothes and ripped them to shreds. So in my mind, I can see Jesus covering this man
Yeah,
with his cloak, outer cloak.
because of
Yeah,
when Jesus went to the cross,
yeah.
they stripped him naked to put him to shame. And, that's, okay, very good. Anyone? I'll get off my hobby horse there now, on my soapbox or whatever. Thank you.
Eric, I don't know if it was mentioned earlier, but Marty was sick. I don't know how he is today. You said Marty.
As a devotional tonight, very quickly, in our class we discussed Jesus' casting out demons out of two men, but one in particular who was possessed by a legion of demons. That in and of itself says bad news. And in our life we may find ourselves from time to time dealing with one or two sins that just, really seem to get but to be able to have to deal with 100 sins that are tearing us apart, and especially if we're trying to serve God or we're looking for God or seeking for God, that would be devastating for us. But when they found Jesus cast the demons from them. They had many demons in them, and the one in particular, he cast the demons from them, and it changed their life completely. I think sometimes, and this is going to be an opinion on mine, but I think sometimes we fail to seek the power of God to do away with sin. We think that we have to get it out ourselves. It's totally on us. Get it out of your life. It's totally on us. But God wants to be there to help us to get that sin out of our lives. If we will look to Him and turn to Him and pray to Him, He can help get it out of our lives. I know many people teach a doctrine of deliverance in that fashion. Sometimes I wonder if I don't need to teach a little bit more that way, that it's a matter of praying to God to help me to get the sin out of my life. But when we are able to truly turn to God, to see Jesus, to be in His presence, as Jesus cast the demons from this man, we found him sitting, clothed, and in his right mind before Jesus. And that's the way Jesus can make a difference in our lives today. It's just not a forgiveness of sin, but it is a help of trying to deal with sin within our lives. And yes, to get it out of our lives. So tonight, if you're dealing with something like that, maybe it's just one or two, or maybe it's a bunch, but you need the prayers of the church. If you'd like to respond, won't you come? All together we stand and sing.
There's a fountain, preached is for you and me. Let us taste, oh, taste to its free. It's the fount of love from the source of love, and He bids us all freely drink. Will you come?
Number 743. Casey, you know, I'll ask you to lead us in the closing prayer.
O land of rest for thee, I sigh, when will the moment come when I shall lay my armor by and dwell in peace at home? Will work till Jesus comes, will work till Jesus comes, will work till Jesus comes, and will be gathered home.
Father God, we come before you one more time just to thank you for the chance to come together and worship your holy name. And Lord, just pray that as we depart from this place tonight, pray that everybody gets back to their home safely, and that we continue to worship you the rest of the week and remember the time of the season that is here. And just continue, watch over us and guide us when we fail you. In your name we pray. Amen.